West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, and I would love to say this is going to be a quick one. It's supposed to be, but you don't know the done know. Once I start getting into it, once I start chopping it up, once I start feeling the energy, this could go anywhere from 10 minutes to 20 minutes. Who knows? But let's stick along for the ride. Before we go anywhere, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. I was messaging Father Santoki, earlier on today, and I said to him, do you know what, Santoki? Caribbean Cricket Podcast, we need to stay in our lane. Let me explain this to you lot, because we're nothing if not honest with those of you who have supported us from whether day one or recently or whatever it is. We keep you up, we keep you updated on the journey. I said to Santoki, we need to stay in our lane. I said, there'll be other channels, there'll be other people, there'll be other things that cover cricket that are bigger than us, potentially better than us. But Santoki and I were like, we are good at what we're good at. And we're confident that the thing that we are good at, we don't think anybody else does as well as us. And what we believe we are the best at when it comes to West Indies cricket is speaking the realness. Just speaking the realness. And we get it. Like, speaking the realness doesn't necessarily open up doors or all the doors that you might want them to open up. But that's our USP. Or is it, our USP. Everyone knows who watches this channel that if you come here, we aren't afraid to say what needs to be said. And it won't be like it won't be like emotional dunce talk. We'll bring facts, figures, and evidence. You can disagree with it though. That doesn't mean we're right. Notice that I'm going to distinguish here between we aren't afraid to say what needs to be said, but that doesn't mean we're right. We're just going to speak the realness. And then it's up to you lot in the comments below to cuss us, chop it up, whatever it might be, share it with other people and say, look what these dunce English London men are saying again, blah, 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 blah. But we're going to rally and we're going to keep it real. And that doesn't necessarily always win new friends and influence people, but at least everybody knows it was real. And it wasn't attempting to sell to the people like, kind of like, not fake's too strong, but sell to the people a vision or version of West Indies cricket that just isn't, just not true. That notwithstanding, and that's not aimed at anyone, I'm just letting you lot have an insight into the things that Santoki and I talk about behind the scenes and off the record and so on and so forth. We just got to stay in our lane. Stay in your lane. I'm a big believer in staying in your lane. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you don't try to get bigger and better, but stay committed to what your USP was, because real, I always say this, real will always recognize real. Do you know what I mean? I'll tell you who's not real, though. Let me tell you who's not real. Earlier this week, Greg Barclay, the outgoing ICC chairman, obviously he's recently been replaced by Jay Shah. He almost did what it felt like a drunk man talk, where he was busting out what he truly believes in the realness, because obviously he's leaving the ICC now, or leaving the headship of ICC. And he did, I think it was with the Telegraph. Can't remember if it was the Telegraph, but he basically was candid, and he did like a tell-all conversation with the Telegraph. And this is the key quote that is doing the rounds. Greg Barclay, outgoing ICC chair, said, "You look at the West Indies. I love what they've done for the game. But is the West Indies in its current form sustainable? Is it time for them to break into each of their islands?" One more time with feeling and down the back. He said, "You look at the West Indies. I love what they've done for the game. But is the West Indies in its current form sustainable? Is it time for them to break into each of their islands?" Greg Barclay, go SYM. Go SYM. Those who know what I mean know what I mean. Go SYM. When I read that statement, and when I heard all the kind of kind of conversation coming out from that statement, I held my peace. And in fact, if any of you watched the most recent episodes Santoki and I did, I said, Santoki, we need to talk on this one. So this is just me doing the precursor to me and Santoki having a proper kind of, fireside chat about this and recording it and dropping it for the people. This is just my kind of initial take on it. I read that statement, heard the conversation, spoke to some people in the background, and I've written down my notes. I'm just going to follow them sequentially as to what came to mind when it was marinating in my head. First things first, Barclay's comments give you an inside view to what really goes on in the ICC. When like things have happened in world cricket and you're like, but don't people care about the West Indies and why people aren't trying to develop the game and help the West Indies and help teams like the West Indies who are impoverished and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You've been given a real raw insight into why nothing is done. Because if he's able to say this, now he's coming out of power, he's able to say, let me say what I really believe. Let me get that off my chest. Let me do that drunk real talk. Let me say the quiet part out loud. And what he's saying out loud is bun West Indies. That's what he's saying. He's saying the quiet part out loud. Bun a West Indies. So what were they saying behind closed doors? When Kishore Shallow, Ricky Skerritt, Johnny Grave, whoever else has to go to those ICC meetings, when we weren't there, and when I say we, I mean representatives of West Indies cricket, when we weren't there, what were they saying behind closed doors? What do you think they were saying? Bunna West Indies, yes? Bunna West Indies. Who was really, when Johnny wasn't there, when Kishore wasn't there, Miles Bascom, if he has to go there, when Ricky Skerritt, Dave Cameron, all them man. What were they saying without a Caribbean presence in the room? They've given you an insight into what they truly believe about us. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But he's given an insight into what they truly believe about us. You see that period of time when we dominated world cricket between, I say that like people don't remember, right? That 15-year period. That must have hurt people in their soul, It must have hurt people in their soul. Look at these men from impoverished Caribbean nations dominating the world game 15 years straight. It must have hurt, man. It must have hurt, man, deeply. What Barclay's basically saying to me is a form of neocolonialism and neo-paternalism. We know what's best for you, ethnics. That's what he's saying. He obviously, if this gets back to him or people that like what he said and da-da-da-da-da, obviously people go, no, Mash, that's not what he's saying. Oh, chip on your shoulder. But this is the subconscious thing. He doesn't consciously believe he's a colonialist. He doesn't consciously believe that he's paternalistic. But that's what he's basically saying. We know what's better for you, ethnics. We know what's better for you. You should split up and go your own ways. It's just not sustainable. We know what's better for you. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Get in the comments and tell me, Mash, you're taking it too far. It's not about that. It smacks of neocolonialism. It smacks of, boy, if I say what I want to really say, they'll shut this channel down. It smacks of paternalism. The real ones know what I'm actually getting at. Real ones know what I'm getting at. We know what's best for the ethnics. Black man can't fool again, my lord. Black man can't fool again, my lord. Real ones know what I'm saying. To make that comment, irrespective of if Greg Barclay has no power now and is stepping down, etc., to make a comment like that speaks to the fact that he has no context of the region or has no true understanding of the region. Anybody who has a true understanding of the Caribbean knows there is nothing to be gained, absolutely nothing to be gained by the teams going it alone. I know you've got the kind of insularity, particularly, and I'm going to call it out, the Guyanese, not obviously, I'm not speaking to the whole nation, but the most insular, and this is facts to me, Get in the comments and cuss me. I don't care. This is facts to me. The most insular cricket territories in the region, definitely the Guyanese. The Guyanese will always say that West Indies don't care about them and trying to fight down Guyanese people, so on and so forth. There's definitely an insularity and victim kind of culture when it comes to cricket with regards to Guyana. The Bajans are insular, I think, when it comes to cricket, because they believe that their cricket is the best. The Trinis are insular. Everybody else, I give a bly. And I'm not just saying this because I'm from Jamaica. Everybody else, I give a bly. Everyone still cusses and goes on and goes on. But I think of the islands in the Caribbean, obviously the nations in the state, in the case of Guyana, no one truly believes they can go it alone. Only the insular dunces believe they could go it alone and do anything. Oh, no one true. And this is why I'm angry at Barclay's comments, because take one step into the Caribbean and speak properly to people, and everyone apart from the insular dunces would say there's no way we can go it alone. No way. What evidence does anyone have? And I'm speaking here now, whatever nation you're from, when you get in the comments and cuss me, as inevitably some people will do, state, before you cuss me, state what nation you're from, right? And then when you state what nation you're from, then cuss me, but then answer this specific question. So everybody in the comments know that whatever you put in the comments below, I am going to reply based on this particular question I'm asking you. Tell me something that your country is good at on an international level in the sports arena. Long-winded, but listen again. Tell me something that your country is good at the international level, global level, in the sports arena. Tell me, which Caribbean nation can hold its own in the sports arena? Which one? Which one? I can speak for Jamaica, right? Jamaica holds its own in netball. Jamaica are the Sunshine Girls are top 3 in the world. They might even argue they're top 2 because they just put down a piece of beating on England. So they may even argue they're top 2. The Sunshine Girls are top 2, 3 in netball. But they don't make no piece of money. They struggle for sponsorship. Every time Sunshine Girls play, pure struggle for sponsorship. So, but they are top 2, top 3. I'm just speaking from a Jamaican perspective, and it's not a Jamaican bias. I'm just trying to give some examples to people. Reggae Boys, Jamaica football team, national team. Reggae Boys are the best footballing Caribbean nation, right? Nations League quarterfinals, been to the World Cup before. Obviously, Trinidad and Tobago have been to the World Cup before. Should really include Haiti and them, man. But we're talking from the cricket. We're talking about the cricket nations. Reggae Boys have been to the World Cup before. Trinidad have been to the World Cup before. But Reggae Boys are the best Caribbean footballing nation. Look at, those of you who know your football, look at the heap of problems that the players always have with the JFF in football. Always cussing about lack of payment, going on strike, cussing out president, shoddy administration, shoddy attempts at running an organization and actually looking after the players, making man who are flying from Premier League. What did Machel Antonio say the other day? They booked the wrong flight for him. Man had to pay for his own flight to get to Jamaica because they couldn't even organize things like that. And that's the best footballing nation in the Caribbean. And they can't organize piss. Right? So just using those examples from Jamaica, who would, I could say athletics, but I always say with Jamaica that with athletics, because it's individual, sometimes I feel, and this is what I think about the Caribbean in general, and people will be like, oh, you're saying this from England. I've got a Jamaican passport, people. I was born in Jamaica, so don't tell me nothing, right? I think that a lot of things that happen in the Caribbean, or sports-wise, when there is success, is in spite of the system, not because of the system. Shamar Joseph came out of Backer Bush. That was in spite of the Guyanese system, not because of the Guyanese system. Things happen a lot in the Caribbean in spite of, not because of, right? So you lot want, I say you lot, Barclay's arguing, and I'm sure there's people in the Caribbean who would argue it as well. They're like, we need to go our own way. We need to go our way. Go your own way and do what? Go your own way and do what? So if, let's just say argument's sake, the Caribbean nations go their own way. Let's just say West Indies is an NT cricket, West Indies splits up. Cool. We all go our own way. Then when it comes to things like World Cups, can somebody just explain this stuff to me? When it comes to things like World Cups, we then have to qualify through the ICC Americas section, right? So ICC Americas section currently gets, what is it, 1 or 2 spots for a World Cup. I'm just talking T20s, never mind even the full like 50 over World Cup, right? Who would get through? Who even thinks that you want to feel emotional? Hear this. I don't even know if any of our Caribbean nations could beat USA and Canada on a regular basis. And those 2 countries, cricket organizations or associations, are run in a shambolic way as well. I don't know if we could beat them on a regular basis. So all of a sudden now, teams have to try get through for the 1, possibly 2 qualification spots in ICC Americas. Which nation's doing it? And do you want to know what else I want people to explain to me? If we go separate, who's touring your country? You think India, England, Australia are wasting their time going on a full tour of Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad, Barbados? You think they're wasting their time? They'll treat you, man, like you're Papua New Guinea. They ain't coming to you. England would sooner tour Antigua before they go and say, yeah, can we go play a series in Guyana? Are you look crazy? So who you planning to play? Unless you're planning to now tour each other, which you should have been doing anyway, without Cricket West Indies giving you instructions to do so, who would you plan to play to develop? And if you say to me, oh, Mash, we'd play within the region and we'd develop that way, we already do that and we're shit. So how you develop him? One time a man said to me, but Mash, if we go our separate ways, all the players would suddenly play better because they're playing for national pride. Don't buy that in the slightest. So you lot are telling me that if we went our separate ways, all of the guys who run away to go and play T20 tournaments and don't play for the West Indies would suddenly say, yeah, bun a T20 tournament. Now I'm ready because Guyana or Barbados or Antigua or it depends how it all splits up, Grenada, they've called me. So bun a T20 tournament, it's time to play for my country. Do you reckon that's what would happen? I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. So what I want to know is why is Greg Barclay convinced? And also what Greg Barclay didn't explain, or maybe he did and I haven't seen the full quotes from him, but how would these individual nations, islands, survive economically and develop their cricket? Unless that's his point. Unless his point is, yeah, split up West Indies, and then basically the majority of those separate cricket associations would die away because they wouldn't invest in the cricket, and then it'd only leave really 2 or 3, probably Guyana, Trinidad and Barbados, who would take the cricket seriously enough to play some T20 series versus Nepal and this, that. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And if you're somebody who does get it, please explain in the comments below, how would that benefit cricket in the region if we all went our separate ways? And I'm saying it genuinely. Someone get in the comments below and say, yeah, Mash, it would seriously benefit because X, Y, Z. And give me detailed responses. I will break it down for me. How would we benefit individually as nations and territories if we all went our separate ways? I think if we all went our separate ways, immediately, if we all went our separate ways, well, Test cricket's dead. Immediately, Test cricket is dead. None of them are playing Test cricket. So that immediately wipes out anybody in the Caribbean playing Test cricket. If West Indies cease to exist as an entity, the already declining Test cricket market dies there and then, because ain't no one playing Test cricket from then on. So then you're down to 50 over in T20 cricket. Do you think any of those nations, our nation, sorry, could compete in 50 over cricket? I don't. And then you're down to T20. T20, I'm willing to concede our individual nations and territories probably could compete, but not to do anything major, just maybe a one team could qualify for a World Cup. But if that's your metric of success, so you lot who may agree with Barclay, your metric of success, therefore, would be, yes, we should break up West Indies as an entity. We should all go our separate ways, because then Guyana or Barbados or Trinidad would qualify for a T20 World Cup, and that would be better. We'd completely suck as we'd all suck as 50 over teams, and we'd have no test cricket. Is that the future of cricket then? So some of you lot are willing to break up West Indies as an entity so that one nation can qualify for a T20 World Cup and get beat down by everybody. Not me. People have to remember that the only reason we still get India, England, Australia, etc. touring us, because remember, them man don't really tour Bangladesh. Them man don't really tour Afghanistan. Well, obviously not Afghanistan, but you know what I mean? They don't really play Afghanistan. They don't really play Zimbabwe. And remember, that's our level. So hear me out, people. Let me start this point again, because people need to deep what I'm saying. Everybody accepts that the West Indies level in tests and certainly 50 over cricket is basically Zimbabwe, Ireland, Bangladesh, Afghanistan. That's our level, right? You could argue we're beneath some of them in 50 over cricket, but that's our level. Everyone accepts that now, right? T20 is slightly different, right? But we still get all of the top teams touring us. We still get to go on tour to all the top teams, regular, like we're supposed to be there. Bangladesh don't get that, and they're better than us. Zimbabwe don't get that. Afghanistan don't get that, and they're certainly better than us. Ireland don't get that. And those four teams are all in and around us. Some of them are better than us. The only reason West Indies get all that stuff is because of who we are and what we've done. Our legacy on the game. And this man, Barclay, on his way out says, yeah, West Indies ain't sustainable. West Indies ain't sustainable. Break that up, because they ain't sustainable as an entity. After we've done more for the world game than pretty much everybody else. Don't disrespect the base. We know we suck, but don't disrespect the base. West Indies as a brand and as an entity, historic legacy, have done more for the world game than some of the teams that you lot talk ad infinitum about now. Legacy. Greg Barclay is disrespectful. Anybody who's backing Greg Barclay, disrespectful. Don't disrespect the legacy. Don't disrespect the base. Don't disrespect the history. Before you say, why don't we break up as an entity? Why don't you look at the financial dynamics of world cricket and say, how can we make this game more equitable? But you can't say that, can you? Because if you said that, that might actually fix the game. It's easier to just say, bun the ethnic, man. Let's get rid of them. Jay Shah, over to you, Donny. Over to you. What are you going to do? India's got all the power now. What are you going to do for the world game, my bro? What are you going to do? Let's see what proximity to power does for Jay Shah. Let's see. I wonder if they'll ever let somebody from the West Indies be ICC chair. Black man can't fool again, my lord. I'll be Machel St. Patrick here at one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Get at me in the comments below, people. I done know. Some of you are going to get emotional in your feelings, because you always do. Remember to answer my question, though. When you get emotional and in your feelings, just remember to answer my question. Take Jamaica out of the equation, just for argument's sake. Name another Caribbean nation that competes on the global stage and is considered a giant or considered significant on the global stage? Forget cricket, because we're not there yet. Name an island nation who is significant on the global stage in any sport. I'll be Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. You done know. Like, share, subscribe. We're on all the different social media apps. Particularly, we're on Blue Sky now. For those of you who have migrated over there as well, we're still on X. That's still our major platform because of the following we've got there. But those of you who have done the whole kind of leave from X thing, find us on Blue Sky. If you'd like to support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, head to www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket. Every little bit helps. You can also use the super thanks function on YouTube, actually, if you want to just contribute a little 50 pence or $1 or whatever your currency is, etc. Listen, we're out, people. We're out. It's my birthday tomorrow, actually. Real uncle out here. Anyways, people, I'm out. Machel St. Patrick Hewitt. You done know. See you all soon.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.